Perfectionism, a disposition to regard anything short of perfection as unacceptable, especially the setting of unrealistically demanding goals accompanied by a disposition to regard failure to achieve them as unacceptable and a sign of personal worthlessness. There are a lot of people out there who proudly call themselves perfectionists. They strive to make sure everything is perfect, and based on my own experience as well as watching friends who were of the same disposition, perfectionists panic when their standards are not met. The waves of anxiety just seem to roll off of them as they realize they might not get an A+, or they won't get to work exactly 20 minutes before they were assigned to be at work. This behavior bleeds into every aspect of one's life, including one's spiritual walk, and I want to talk about it. Perfectionism is a seed of pride. It is a flower that grows so beautifully with a promise to satisfy others as well as oneself and make everyone like you. Once it blossoms, it is a withering rose of an inability to shoulder each and every sin, mistake, and insecurity one has. In this scenario, some may look at this perfectionism flower and say, "That's not a flower, that's a weed," and pull it out from its roots. Others may look at it and say, "I messed up somewhere in the process, so let's try again," and go through the same cycle of applying unnecessary pressure and stress to make the flower grow again. Each time it fails, and each cycle the flower blooms more and more hideously. Perfectionism has the potential to kill the most indomitable of spirits. It may not seem like it in the beginning, but if you're not careful, you'll have a jungle of massive, hideous plants and seemingly no way out of your own mess. Well, let me tell you a little secret. Coming from a recovering perfectionist, the one who designed you has provided a way out of your jungle. Our Creator has sent someone who can completely desolate every seed you've ever planted. Jesus calls us to be like him. However, he is also aware that we will never be able to, not completely, which is why Jesus Christ, Son of God, died for our sinful mistakes in the flesh so that we may be redeemed flawless in the eyes of our Heavenly Father. Jesus Christ has lended his perfect hand to us. All we have to do is accept it. One of the major ways we can become more like Jesus each day is recognizing our own behavior, then analyzing the behavior the Bible calls us to have. The best list of attributes are known as the fruits of the Spirit. Galatians 5:22 through 23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law." What I've found to be helpful is that I look to these attributes, consider recent things I have done, and compare. Once you start putting a routine like that into practice, it begins to uproot any seed of pride or perfectionism one may have. I know I have so much to work on, and I will be working on it for the rest of my days, just as anyone else will. I'm currently working on gentleness and self-control specifically, which is another way to help take things at a healthy pace. It can be very daunting to try and reach for all the fruits of the Spirit at once. A good way to learn a bit easier is to take one step at a time. You'd be amazed at what God can do with just taking the weights off your shoulders one chip at a time, rather than you trying to take it all off at once and find yourself in a spiral of struggle. Coming from someone who has attempted the all-at-once route, I found myself a lot more frustrated than I needed to be. Don't ignore the ones you're not focusing on, but don't try and break all your habits at once. It's a lot easier to practice and implement if you take it one step at a time. I talked to Chad about this, and since he always has some insightful things to say, I wasn't surprised with the goldmine of information he decided to drop in my DMs. And I quote, "The fruits of the Spirit are very important. However, perfectionism comes mainly from a want to control one's own situation or outcome, not necessarily from trying to grow in character attributes or the way you produce fruits in others' lives. Person can have love and try showing that love through their own way of planning. One can have joy and still have to have their way. One can have kindness and still be making that kindness a product of their way. One can have goodness and still be stressed from their plans. One can be gentle and still be overwhelmed internally, and one who is a perfectionist can believe that their perfectionism is a byproduct of their self-control because all they focus on is the controlling of themselves and their life. The two a perfectionist can't have are peace and faithfulness. Being a perfectionist leaves you without peace because a perfectionist is still trying to rely on themselves and their way. Being a perfectionist leaves you without peace because a perfectionist is still relying on themselves and their way, and in that they are not submitted to God, and one who is not submitted to God can't have peace. And without being submitted to God, how can one call themselves faithful? And also, a perfectionist can continue being a perfectionist while trying to be perfect in the way they produce the fruits of the Spirit. Ultimately, what gets rid of being a perfectionist is knowing no matter what you do or who you are or how smart you are or how much you have, you can't ever make an outcome that is godly or righteous or in alignment with God's will when your actions and thoughts come from what you want and what you think is best. Also, I think it's very important to note that producing fruits of the Spirit in our lives isn't the result of one trying to be good, it is the result of being submitted to the Lord. Living a fruitful life isn't about trying to produce fruit, and the fruits of the Spirit are the result of that obedience and submission. It is doable. I know it feels like it isn't right now, but it is. You are not perfect, you are flawed. But Christ is perfect, and he makes you flawless if you let him. I know I'm not perfect, and it's been a battle trying to accept that no matter how hard I try. I will never achieve the perfection I've always wanted. But once I learned that Christ came to redeem my mistakes, and that he loves me and wants to help me, life became a lot more manageable. Forgiving myself has been one of the greatest struggles, but who am I to say I cannot forgive myself when Christ, the Son of God, already does? The same goes for you. Accept his forgiveness. Reach for the fruits. That flower of perfectionism will be uprooted, and instead of a living jungle, you'll be living in a garden. Godspeed, hoodie homies, and God bless.